Tomorrow's butcher day for these guys, so let's talk about what goes into raising and growing a Cornish Cross meat bird. So we got 20 Cornish Cross meat birds 8 weeks ago now. And when considering the amount of birds that you're going to buy, you really need to account for some deaths that will occur. It will undoubtedly occur, not because of error on your part, it just happens. So before they were 3 weeks old, we had lost one, and since then we have lost 3 more. They are just such a fast growing bird that it happens. Deaths happen. They have heart attacks, or their joints and their bones grow so quick that they end up not being able to walk. We did cull one. It didn't actually die on its own, but it wasn't able to walk because of how fast they grow. So we culled one, and then 3 had died on their own. So we are left with 16. And honestly, I had hoped for 15. Thought maybe we'd end up with 12 to 15. So ending up with 16, I'm happy with that. So just when you're considering how many, just account for some deaths that will occur. No, you'll also need a place to put the chicks for the first 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the weather where you live. We got these chicks in April. It was still very cold then. It was still snowing then. So we had them in our barn for the first 3 weeks of their life with a heat lamp on. Just want to make sure that no drafts can get to them and there's no direct airflow right through the area where you're keeping them, especially if it's cold out. You definitely want an open space for some ventilation, but you don't want a draft to be able to go right through, because if they get cold, they will not survive. Absolutely need a heat lamp on these guys for the first 2 to 3 weeks as they begin to grow and produce feathers. So after 3 weeks, it was still kind of cold where we live, so we started to harden off the chicks. So we have this chicken tractor here, and this is a Joel Salatin inspired chicken tractor. We did not build it ourselves. We purchased it off Facebook Marketplace, but Joel Salatin says that you can build one of these brand new for $300. But if you get the materials used somewhere, which people have things like this laying around all the time, just look on Facebook Marketplace or ask your neighbors. You can probably build it for cheaper than $300. So in order to harden off our chicks, what we did was place a heat lamp right inside here. We just placed it close to our barn where there was power, and we put the chicks out in here with the heat lamp on for the next 3 days. So they were 3 weeks, 3 days old when we finally removed the heat lamp. But we did harden them off for 3 days so that they could adjust to the colder temperatures. So the way this chicken tractor works is you have a little door here. I use this pole to hold the door up when I need to access them to feed them and to water them. Most important thing about your chicken tractor is it needs to be predator proof, because predators will try to get in here any way that they can. So there can be no cracks on the side. The chicken wire needs to be really well enforced with staples, and you have to have your door in order to access them, in order to feed them and water them. You'll also need a spot where they can go for cover. So we have the sides here and the back and the top enclosed, so that if it's windy or rainy, they can get out of the elements and in an enclosure and out of the draft. I also didn't screw this part down because if I need to access the chicken back here, we also put the water back here, just out of the elements, out of direct sunlight, so that it can prevent algae. So we haven't had any problems with predators trying to get in here. This is kind of heavy and it's obviously sharp on the edges, so predators have not tried to get in here. This has worked really well for us, but it's important to have an enclosed area, like I said, for the chickens to be able to get out of the elements if need be. Next, you'll need some sort of pulley system. So we just have an old ratchet strap that we attach at each of the feet at the bottom, because you're going to need to pull this and move it to a new area once a day. They'll also be eating the grass and the bugs and all sorts of things under here, and it'll get packed down pretty quickly. So we move this at least once a day now that they're almost 8 weeks old. So basically you just kind of lift a little bit and tug. And you'll want to do it slow, because if there are chickens at the back, you'll just need to kind of push them gently. You don't want to run over their feet or anything. So just tug gently, kind of nudging the chickens as you pull. And as you can see, it's pretty easy for even me to move. It's really not that heavy. Skids on the bottom just allow it to glide right across the ground. Water. These guys need free choice water around the clock, no matter what. Clean, fresh water is very important for them to have all of the time. We have this 5-gallon water jug here that we got from Tractor Supply. We just fill it once a day. Like I said, we keep it under the cover to prevent algae buildup, because if direct sunlight is on it, algae will begin to accrue inside. This keeps the water nice and fresh. We just kind of dump it out whenever we move it to keep the water clean in the bottom there. You can just fill it from the top here. Super easy. We just bring a 5-gallon bucket over and pour it right in. So now as far as feed goes, for the first 3 weeks of their life, we fed them a 20% protein chick starter. It was a mash, and we gave it to them free choice around the clock. After 3 weeks, we transitioned them to a 20% broiler feed. So that was a pellet, and we still gave it to them free choice around the clock until they were 6 weeks old. The thing about meat birds, especially Cornish cross birds, is they will eat as much as you give them. So it depends on how much you want to spend, how much feed you want to give them. So whatever you put in front of them, they're going to eat. We had good luck with feeding them free choice for 6 weeks. And then for the last 2 weeks, we have only given them feed overnight. So we feed them around 7 o'clock at night, and then we take it away at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then all day long, they peck at the bugs and the worms, and they eat the grass, and basically they're free range birds. And up until they were 3 weeks old, we fed them in a feeder like this. This worked pretty good, but as they got bigger, this became too small. So we actually switched to using rain gutters. So we just pour the grain right in there. And that's easy to dump out if water gets into it, or if they poop in it like that, we can just unhook it and dump it right out. So this works really well, and they can all fit across there perfectly, allowing everyone to eat when they're fed. So after 8 weeks, these guys will most likely dress out between 5 and 7 pounds, but we'll know for sure tomorrow. I will pop it down in the comments to let you all know what they did dress out as. And we're going to keep a few of these birds whole, but most of them are going to go into wings and thighs and breast. And then I will also have the bones boiled down for chicken broth. So nothing's going to go to waste. By moving this once a day since they've been 3.5 weeks old, all the way up until now at 8 weeks, we've only really used about 1/4 of an acre. So we're just about finished with 1/4 acre of our land. So it really doesn't require that much land. We do have 13 acres available, but this is one type of our animals that really doesn't take up that much space and doesn't require a lot of land in order to grow to their full potential. So feeding them this way and hardening them off the way that we did and keeping them inside for the first 3 weeks really paid off, because these are nice big plump birds. They're clean. I'm really satisfied with the way they have grown, with how they ended up, and being able to go to the freezer and get chicken out that you grew yourself right in your backyard, and not have to wonder how the chicken was treated that you're buying in the store, or if there was any growth hormones and that kind of thing. You really can't trust what's in any of our food these days unless you truly just grow it yourself. So that's what we've done here. We've had good luck with it, and we'll be doing it again for sure. So make sure you like this video if you want to see more content like this, and subscribe for more homestead life.